Welcome to Beat the Champ, presented by Storm. We have moved west down the thruway after a month-long stay in Rochester. We begin our 4 weeks here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. We got a great lineup. Our returning champion, Ricky Zinone, will match up against one of these bowlers. Good matchups between George Szczublewski, Geno Walh, and Rob Piccoli. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Peck with Hall of Fame bowler Sue Nawojski. That's a great lineup. Ricky Zinone's going to have his work cut out for him. We will truly find out if Ricky's game does travel.
Yeah, I think the Buffalo Bowlers may have missed having the show here because the best of the best have shown up. And this month is going to be a bunch of great shows.
Yeah, this is a terrific place. A lot of great history here. We're going to have a special guest coming up who is certainly a part of the history of this show. So we're going to have a lot of fun. It is Beat the Champ, presented by Storm here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. We are ready to get going. So when we return from the break, it's our first match between George Szczublewski and Geno Walh. So let's get rolling. Beat the Champ is sponsored by Storm, the Bowlers Company, and by Latina Boulevard Foods, your favorite family in food distribution. A couple of veteran bowlers to get us started. George Szczublewski making his fifth appearance here on Beat the Champ, and Geno Walh, another one of those guys who has been a long time important member of the Buffalo bowling community, but it's the first time we have seen Geno here on our show. So here we are to get things started. Walh versus Szczublewski, and Geno Walh, the 45-year-old from Lackawanna, New York, will get us started, and he gets us started with a strike. So at some point during the next month, we're going to get you to tell some cool stories about you having worked here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. But for the moment, tell us about the characteristics of this place and the challenge that the lanes are going to present these guys.
Yeah, this place is a synthetic lane condition, very similar to what we saw last week in Rochester. So, you know, we've got a choice of synthetic lanes, wood lanes. Synthetic lanes you'll find will go a little bit longer. We're going to see the bowlers playing a little bit more to the right. And the 10-pin will be a little pesky today, just based on the early lane condition before they break down. We're going to see George left one right there.
Yeah, I think George would agree with you right off the bat, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
So George gets that spare ball out right away and takes care of the spare in the first frame. 5-1 is the overall record for George Szczublewski in the 4 previous shows that he's been on. He holds 3 weekly Beat the Champ victories, so he's been our champion 3 times, second only to Derek Green, who was defeated last week by Ricky Zinone, that we'll see later on today. So, you know, George is just one of those guys that knows how to adapt, knows how to adjust, knows how to make things happen.
Oh.
Well, that's an interesting leftover 8-pin.
That is a bad break. That is just we're going to watch it right here. That's just the ball not carrying through the pins. I mean, looks really good going in, and it misses that 8-pin. Watch the pin just fly in front of it. The ball is supposed to take that 8-pin out, and it does not.
I feel like that might be the first time we've seen that.
An
8-pin?
The 8-pin?
Yeah.
That close up. I mean, that was just a great look at leaving a 10-pin. It's pretty common leave, really. They tend to fall between doubles when you could really, really use the extra pins, and somebody gets stuck with an 8-pin in the middle. But we'll come back and talk about George when he comes back up. He looks a lot looser today than we've seen him in the past, so I'll allude to that when he comes back up.
Got it. So it spares in the first 2 frames for George, and here's Geno working on a first frame strike. And a second frame strike.
Yeah, when we see Geno bowl, he's a little unorthodox. He almost looks like, see how far left he is close to the ball return? He looks like he's going to be hook in the middle of the lane, and he walks right and ends up throwing it straight up the boards.
His approach moves him to the right as he gets to the line.
Yeah, that's when I first saw him bowling, I'm thinking he's playing real deep on the lane and opening up, and then he walks left and plays straight up the lanes.
Yeah, and you can kind of see the example of how
great leverage at the foul line
like
there.
That. And he has his first experience with the pesky 10-pin as well.
We're going to use that word a lot today, I have a feeling.
45 years old, owner of a trucking company, as I mentioned, from Lackawanna, New York, current average of 226. Just an outstanding bowler throughout his career in Western New York.
Yeah, it says that he shot 877 in the city tournament.
And he just missed his spare pickup.
That's going to be a big test here, because one thing with George and his experience is he knows he's learned how to make those 10 pins on a regular basis. There's no nerves there. It's just a routine day for him. When there's a little nerves making your first show, that can be a tough spare for you. But, back to George here, he had some back troubles. We noticed that when he bowled past shows, he stood a lot. He was very, very stiff. And it seems like that's been alleviated somewhat. He looks a lot looser, a lot lower at the line than he has been.
Yeah, and again, as you see, looked like a pretty good hit, just didn't get the pin action to take the 10 out. No,
we talked about that 10 being pesky, and there's going to be weak 10s. We're going to see ring 10s, but I think we're going to see a few more weak 10s today, and that's when the 6 does not wrap around the 10, go up in the air. Great spare there. But actually just kind of lays flat in the gutter. We'll keep an eye on that as the day goes on.
59 years old, from Niagara Falls, employed by the Olin Corporation as the plant supervisor. 228 average for George Szczublewski. And looks like he has made a ball change here for the 4th frame.
Yeah, he's it's not getting to the pocket for him. It's going to be carry for him. That ball went longer down the lane.
And that was an excellent adjustment for George Szczublewski to get his first strike of the match.
So up the boards, that ball's got a little bit more shine on it. Doesn't pick up till way down the lane.
So as you mentioned, we saw him last about a month or so ago at Manor Lanes. He did not make our show in Rochester at the ABC Gates Bowl, maybe as he was kind of working out those back issues a little bit. So Geno bounces back from the open frame with a strike here in the 4th. And again, these are just kind of two. We've got a lot of coming up over the next month, like I want to call them tacticians. Yes. And that doesn't take anything away from the bowling talent of some of the guys we have coming, but you just got guys that have been there and done that and know exactly what they need to do.
Sure, and as we talk about the 10-pin, I mean, it becomes a strategy to not leave that 10-pin. So it seems like going up the boards and having the ball break up, read a little bit sooner, and hitting that high flush is what the best carry is in this place. And every house has its own characteristics on the best carry. Looks like high flush is going to be the best way to carry here.
Love the reaction from Geno. So other than open frame, he has strikes on the board as he completes his first 5 frames, 4 strikes in that open. And that is already putting the pressure here on George Szczublewski as you get the down the lane angle of that. And again, another bit of an unusual leftover
did you see that?
Pin. It's still wobbling.
That pin was spinning and just almost took it out. And just for the record, anything that happens on that lane will count until that rack comes down. Once the rack comes down.
So if that pin had gone down, that would have counted.
It would
have
counted.
So Szczublewski finishes 5th frame with a spare as well. So for him, it's 4 spares and a strike. We heard the greatest story, one of our best stories ever about a bowler, about George, earlier today, and I'll tell you in a moment here. I'll wait till we get through the commercial break to tell you our George story. And how about that?
Trip 4-7.
Yep. So George gets a strike in the 6th frame. We've got a good match going on between George and Geno. Stick around. We're back in Tonawanda right after this.
From the most humble of beginnings to the pinnacle, dreams can come true through hard work, demanding excellence, and conquering challenges. There will be celebrations, along with the unending quest for innovation. Nothing is impossible. Storm.
Paul. What are you doing?
Hey, Sue. Hey, didn't you hear? We're bowling on MSG. I've got to practice.
No, Paul, we're not bowling on MSG. We're hosting bowling on MSG.
Oh, thank goodness, because there is no way I was going to be ready. Beat the Champ here on MSG. Sue Nawojski and I will bring you all the action. We'll see you on the lanes.
Paul, were you going to bowl in a suit?
Strikes in the 6th and 7th frame for Geno Walh while you were gone as he continues to put the pressure on George as George gets ready for the 7th frame. And that's a good strike for George. So, as you can see, George's last name is a challenge to both spell and to say.
Not to me.
He was, well, not to us because we've seen him a lot. He was bowling a tournament in Canada, and they weren't even going to try to pronounce or spell his name, so they just decided to call him George USA, which is just about the best darn nickname I have ever heard. So now it said George has got guys at work calling him that, his bowling buddies, everybody calls him George USA now, which is awesome.
Well, that means he's the best bowler named George in the USA.
You bet. I actually looked it up. If you put Szczublewski, spelled as you can see it spelled, into a Scrabble calculator, it's worth 41 points. 41 points.
I wonder what mine is with the W and the J.
You know what? I will do that in our next commercial break, and I will let you know.
Well, that's why I don't struggle with his name, because of my name.
George Szczublewski, or George USA. Love it. Spare in the 8th frame for George, but he's got some work to do because Geno has been outstanding. He has struck in every frame except one.
Yeah, strike here is going to put Geno up 30 pins. And even though both these gentlemen have hit the pocket every single time, we have not seen them miss the pocket. The carry makes a giant difference. Even though Geno missed that 10 pin, he's had all the breaks. That was almost the same exact leave as we saw George, but it went down instead of standing up.
Yep. You mentioned his 877 high career series came in the 2016 Buffalo City tournament. You talk about your career high being in a big-time tournament like that. Just among the many accomplishments in the outstanding career for Geno Walh.
And I'll tell you from experience, those city tournaments are not your typical house shots. Those tend to be modified house shots, which tend to be a little tougher. So that is a really huge score.
9th frame now for Geno.
That got in.
You saw it right away. That one got away from him.
Yeah, that one got. He missed the target inside a few boards, but obviously there's some oil in there, making meaning he's really got the right ball in his hand. Because when you have the right ball, you get a little bit of room to the right, you get a little bit of room to the left, and he almost pulled that one off, just leaving a 7-pin there.
Winner of this match advances on to take on Rob Piccoli, and then the winner of that match, our returning champion, Ricky Zinone. So a spare in the 9th for Geno Walh, and now George Szczublewski gets ready for his 9th frame.
Well, he is in a must-strike situation, and that still would require Geno to open, but anything but a strike here is pretty much going to take any chance George has out.
And that is, unfortunately, anything but a strike as the 7-pin stays up.
Yeah, again, hitting the pocket. He just does not have the right ball that's carrying through the pins the right way.
Are you surprised that early on, first match, the guys were still trying to figure, at least George is trying to figure out what the right ball is for his game?
Yeah, well, I think in practice, because I took a look at while they were practicing, and George was leaving the 10-pin a lot in practice, and he was trying different things with the different balls, and it seems like the equipment that he has, wherever he went, he struggled to get the 10 out consistently. And, you know, that kind of plays on your mind when you come back to bowl the actual match. It's like you're not feeling that looseness that you would feel if you were just striking at will.
And there's a good strike for George. Stick around after we wrap this matchup and we get ready for match number 2 with our winner versus Rob Piccoli. We're going to have a special guest, the legendary Mike Haynes. Legendary for his bowling prowess, legendary for being one of the great color commentators on this show, Beat the Champ, back in the days. Mike's going to join us. He has a lot of ties here to the Tonawanda Bowling Center, including the pro shop here. So we're going to reminisce a little bit about this show and about bowling in Buffalo with Mike Haynes when we come back around after the break for our second match.
Looks like he figured it out a little bit late.
Yep, good strong finish here for George, but it's probably not going to be enough.
No,
unless the wheels just come off for Geno.
No, well, yeah, the wheels would have to come off a lot.
Yeah, and again, these, any high-level bowler, as these two guys are, has not only have they crossed paths with each other, they bowled here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center, whether they're league bowlers or regulars here or not. They are familiar with this place, so this is one of the high-level bowling centers here in Buffalo.
They did have to bowl the qualifier, and they did have to be the best of everybody who qualified, so they have seen this place and made some adjustments, but we'll talk a little bit more about this this pair when we bring Mike in. But I just want to say, while I have an opportunity before Mike comes in, that how you feel about bowling, about having worked with Van. That's how I feel about working with you.
That's great. We have a lot in common, and that's awesome to hear. And we're going to have a little fun with Mike. So Geno Walh is going to move on, and that's a terrific way to do it. It's a win for Geno Walh, so it's Walh versus Piccoli. Next match coming up here on Beat the Champ. Well, that is the 1988 version of Beat the Champ with the legendary Van Miller and the equally legendary Mike Haynes. And we are happy to have Mike join us here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. What do you think when you see that picture? What jumps into your mind? And it might be some crazy Van story, isn't it?
Well, Van Miller was a true legend for sure, and we had a lot of fun. I heard some of the same jokes over and over again, and you've heard them too. I know.
You and me both.
Yeah, he used to roast people and stuff like before the shows and stuff. So
what's it like to have this show back on the air and successful like it is, to know that you're such a big part of it?
Well, it's been a long. I had brown hair back then too. It's nice to see for the bowlers. The bowlers like it. They have fun, and they're really good guys. Most of the bowlers. So.
Yeah, and I think Sue knows all of them anyway. But I've learned what a good group of guys this is. Speaking of good guys, we are ready to go with match number 2. Geno Walh with the 244 to 215 victory over George Szczublewski to advance on. So it's Walh and Rocket Rob Piccoli here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. And Mike, I was kind of thinking, Sue just referenced it, like for the two of us, you are a connective fiber, because Sue worked for you and worked with you and learned from you, and I worked for 20 of the greatest years of my life with Van. He's the most important mentor in my career, and you've got the connections in both of them, don't you?
Well, it's been a wild ride, actually. We started this a long time ago, and Beat the Champ, when Beat the Champ went off, then our owner here at Tonawanda, Sue, Lenny Pim took care of the Tops TV Challenge. We did that for a while, and it's good to be back.
Well, it's good. It's good to have you here as well, too. So, all right, so we are ready to go. Rob Piccoli is going to start us off here. Second appearance here on Beat the Champ for Rob Piccoli. Last time we saw him was our first month at Transit Lane. So, Mike, you have the pro shop here at Tonawanda Bowling Center. You've spent a good chunk of your life here. Give us your best analysis of what these guys are facing on these lanes.
Well, right now, it looks like, a lot of practice at the first match. They look like they're hooking a little bit more. Rob was striking quite a bit in practice, and the first shot went high. So
yeah, I noticed the same exact thing.
He
couldn't miss in practice.
Well, once the lights go on too, it's a little different.
Yeah.
So.
Now, of course, Mike, we're talking to you about your time as the analyst here on this show. You were also one heck of a performer on this show. 13 weeks in a row you were able to win this show. So, let's not let everybody lose sight of the fact that you were one of the best bowlers in this town.
I'd rather bowl on it than talk on it. But that.
See, I feel the opposite.
I had a couple of decent runs with back in the day. There's a good break.
Yeah, so after the tough open in the first frame for Rob Piccoli, again, an opportunity for Geno Walh to jump right in here. Geno's bowling great based on what we saw in that first match.
It does seem that very quickly they've broken down a little bit.
Well, he tripped a couple of fours in the first match, and he just carried a little better than George did, and that's why Geno's still here.
So
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly what happened.
is it ironic to you that you mentioned this place hosted the old show in the 70s and the 80s, then the Tops TV Challenge on the very same lanes that we're bowling on now?
It's been a while since I've been down this end because my pro shop now is down by lanes, down in the front of the building. So.
That's right. When I worked here, your pro shop was down here.
Yeah.
All right. So please assess Sue Nawojski as an employee for the 20 years that she worked for you here. Please tell us what kind of employee she was.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
A darn good one. But
I was dedicated.
But I didn't spend too much time at the bars, so.
And what's this here, Harry, about some vandalism that may have gone on here? No. All right.
Well, it was an emotional time.
Right? Is there no truth, Sue, that there's a couple of dents in a door here that may have been your fault back in the day that are still here?
Like I said, I was a very passionate
All
employee.
right, that's it. We won't get anybody else.
You gotta take it out on something.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Mike, give us a sense from your history, not only as a part of this show, but as one of the high-level bowlers in this town, of what the sport means to the people in Western New York.
Well, Western New York, they love their bowling. It's a shame that a lot of the bowling centers are going under, or like threw away all the big centers. But the people that are still bowling, I think they're real passionate about it. And
Mike, I think a little bit. The population here has gone down, so I almost think that the lane beds have kind of come down to meet where the people are. Because I know that the bowling centers are pretty full. I mean, we're full. I mean, I think that we're doing well, but we've kind of gotten lane beds down to the, match the population.
it's true, and there's not as much, discretionary money to do so many different things. Look at this one. Oh, he almost got
almost
a late hit on the 10-pin.
So that'll end the little run Geno had of strikes here, going back to the last match, going back to this match. So Geno seems kind of locked in, doesn't he, right now?
Well, he's got some good pin carry.
So I want to ask you, Mike, in the pro shop business, because I know you're still.
Oh, look out here.
Yep. Oh. That's the thing with synthetics. You can miss a little bit and the ball will skate. Or you do that on wood, forget it. With the pro shop business, with all the bowling balls that have come out, and then the evolution of two-handers, what has that done to drilling bowling balls? Because back in the day, it was side weight and top weight, and stick a hole in the side.
Well, I don't mind the two-handers because you don't have to work their thumbs out.
That's true. That's true. That
you
is a challenge.
drill a couple of finger holes and they're out the door. But yeah, they're definitely taking over the bowling.
Is
for
their
sure.
ball layout different?
You can when you get into the higher end stuff. The pin placement, it still matters.
And do you think that urethane has made a comeback because of rev rates?
Well, of course urethane does for certain bowlers, for certain conditions. The guys that are heavy-handed, they throw a lot of hook. They need that urethane for the outside shots. But a typical house shot, you don't really need a lot of urethane unless you're one of the young kid crankers.
Or it just sounds like it's new technology.
Yeah, something to buy.
Us, it's old technology. To some people, it's new technology.
Well, the new urethanes are different than they were.
For us.
You mean you're not pulling old urethane balls out of the basement or the back closet here?
No.
Although Chris Labiak did back at Manor.
They're too heavy though. Used to be everybody used 16 pounds. Now guys are throwing Pat Brick that we'll see later on. He throws 14 pounds.
Is he down to 14?
And he's ever since his wrist surgery or whatever, and he's still bowling 300s and another ring and 10-pin.
That's what I said. That was going to be a little. We're going to see a lot of 10 pins today. I feel like just by where they need to play.
Well, the bowlers are hitting. It's easier to hit the pocket these days, so you leave more 10 pins.
That is a great point that I definitely wanted to mention. Is that it is not the bowling center's fault. There's many different types of 10 pins, and if you hit the pocket almost every single time, you'd be shooting 300 every single time you bowled. That's the great neutralizer.
I have a sign in my shop. It's $5 charge for whining,
Uh-huh.
and it's usually about the 10 pin when people are in there.
I was going to say, Sue, that was spoken like a bowling center owner
I'm
who is
sorry.
tired of hearing people complain to you.
My hat changed for a second.
And you saw Rob's reaction there, a little bit of like finally he kind of dialed it in and got the strike that we're used to seeing from Rocket Rob. So did you enjoy the little bit of celebrity that came with being on TV all those years with this show?
It's kind of weird because we used to go places and, and my wife would go, everybody seems to know you're on Beat the Champ. And I go, well, they used to watch it a lot. I mean, that was fun.
I think you've had to adjust to that a little bit too, right, Sue?
It's true. No, more of adjustment was for my husband, for Craig, because he was always the recognizable one with his 3 Stanley Cups.
He's the guy with the Stanley Cup
But now it's me that gets all
ring.
the attention. It's kind of difficult.
I know.
Well, hey, Mike, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be in your home. It's a pleasure to have you on, to be able to connect the incredible past of this show to the future that we're a part of now, and doing some great things. And it's just great to sit and talk to you about bowling. Mike Haynes joining us. We've got a good match going on. It will continue between Geno and Rob when we come back to the Tonawanda Bowling Center. It's Beat the Champ.
The Western New York area has long been considered one of the best anywhere for the sport of bowling.
And no matter where you live, we have lanes nearby.
For top competition,
Fun with family and friends.
Great food and drink, or just a night out, we got you.
We are
The bowling proprietors.
of Western New York.
Stop in and enjoy our sport today.
12X Tech Bowling Supplies is committed to continuing the decades-long tradition of excellence established by the DeSanto family. We are the ultimate destination for customer service, experience, and product variety. We offer an extensive inventory of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories. Our unique fitting and drilling process, combined with our in-house lane, ensures a perfect fit every time. With a range of repair and maintenance services, we can help keep your gear performing at its best. Consult our team today at 1000 Highland Drive in the J. Scuddy South Plaza, conveniently located off of 390 in Henrietta.
I'm Paul Peck.
And I'm Sue Nawojski. We want to see you out here bowling for the top spot on Beat the Champ.
So get to any of our great host centers and get the details on how you can be a part of the show and be our next winner.
And don't miss any of the action here on MSG every week.
Yeah, so check out the show next week or get out there and qualify and be our Beat the Champ winner.
All right, we continue with our match here between Rob Piccoli and Geno Walh. How much fun was that to have Mike on?
I could have talked to him forever.
Me too, and again, just I'm sure if I let him loose with a few more van stories, you'd have had everybody rolling here, and and I lived a lot of that, and it was just an incredible time of my life to live in vans, in Van Miller's world, and Mike did too, and
when I was here, it was Brian Blessing. So
yeah, and I worked with Brian as well too, and Brian was one of the most talented people I have ever worked with.
And he also bowled on Monday nights, so I really got to get to know him, and he loved bowling and just was so enthusiastic, and he brought a lot to the table too. So I really enjoyed him as well. It's unfortunate that he's not with us any longer.
I miss both of those guys on a regular basis, and that's a pretty high bar that I try to do my best to live up to, is what I learned from Van and Brian, and to have a chance to talk to Mike like that was awesome. So, and again, and I know, as we said, he's been such a big part of your life, bowling life as well too. So
I have a lot of respect for him. He's been a great player, and keeping the pro shop business has been a challenge over all these years because things have changed. He was modest about it, but a lot has changed with equipment since he started out.
And it's funny. I mean, Mike's as old school as it gets, and I'm sure there's sometimes where he goes, something else, another new one. Like, can't we just learn how to throw the ones that we've been throwing for 50 years?
Yep, there used to be weight blocks, and things have changed so much with center of gravities. You almost have to be a physicist now to figure this stuff out.
You're not kidding. You're not kidding. So, all right. So Geno Walh and Rob Piccoli, as we get back to this match that will send one of these guys into our championship match against our returning Beat the Champ winner, Ricky Zinone. And right now it's going to be hard to bet against Geno Walh because he's bowling great, and now he's working 3 in a row as he seems to have found his groove after a couple of early spares.
Yeah, he's up 30, which to be honest with you, after I saw Rob practicing, it just seemed like that direct line.
Rob was poised for a run.
Yeah, that direct line to the pocket was just unbeatable. But now that Geno's moved in, you see he's playing now between that one. He got a little bit right, but the breaks are coming his way. And again, sometimes you got the right ball in your hand, and you get a little bit of room, and you get a lot looser, and you get a lot better carry.
That's 4 in a row now for Geno Walh. So 39-year-old Rob Piccoli from here in Kenmore, produce manager at Tops Markets is his occupation. He told you a great story about he's up to 23 career 300s, but a whole bunch of them have just come in the last month.
Yeah, I mean, some people wait a long time for a 300, and Rob's had 5 in 1 month. He shot 5 300s in the month of October, in 3 different bowling centers. Wow. And the bowling centers he shot them at are all very different. So that is a testimony to knowing your equipment and being lined up, because, like I said, those are different lane conditions and different bowling centers. 5 300s in 1 month.
He might trade in 1 or 2 of those for a darn 10-pin that would go down. The 10-pin has been a bit of his scourge throughout this match and has put him in a major uphill climb as we head into the 9th frame. Rob's been, as I mentioned, I think Rob's been on our show once before. This is his 2nd appearance. He has not won yet. But again, they don't call him Rocket Rob without a reason, and you can see he throws it hard and consistent and a lot of rotations, and just has kind of bumped into a couple of guys that just out-bowled him a little bit.
Yeah, and he's got that down and in game, and we talk about the 10 pins and the different ways to hit the pocket, and he's got that high flush hit. And I think that really maximizes carry.
So 9th frame now for Geno Walh with a chance to clinch this victory and move on to our championship match. And that is certainly going to help. That's 5 in a row, by the way.
Yeah, and he got that one just a little bit right, and take a look at it right here. Got that little bit right. He was definitely playing inside of that, but he's got a great ball reaction today.
He almost hit the head pin dead on there and still got the results that he wanted.
Yeah, that one went into the dry. He's looking a little bit left of second arrow. That's where he's really playing, but hey, who can say anything about room?
So Geno Walh has clinched this victory. It's 2 in a row for Geno and a chance to move on to take the crown away from Ricky Zinone. Couple of more shots here to finish it out for Geno. Good, impressive 244 in the first match, and it's going to be a good score here in match number 2 as well. So Geno Walh, our winner over Rob Piccoli. That sets up our championship match. Geno and Ricky Zinone. It's Beat the Champ here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. Our host center for Beat the Champ, presented by Storm, is Tonawanda Bowling Center. You can find them online at tonawandabowling.net. They're just one of our many great host centers. If you want details on how you can be a part of Beat the Champ, just stop into any of our host centers and ask, how can I be on the show? And we could be seeing you here on the lanes and maybe seeing you bowling for a weekly championship like these two guys are, Geno Walh and our returning champion, Ricky Zinone. It's the championship match of week number 1 here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center.
Yep, our first lefty today, so he's in uncharted territory over there on the left-hand side. Hasn't been tested at all.
Ricky Zinone, 38 years old, from Greece, New York. He was our last winner last week at the ABC Gates Bowl in Rochester, where he knocked off and ended Derek Green's 5-match winning streak with a 178-160 victory over Derek Green. And again, that just meant that when he won that, he was going to make the drive down the thruway from Rochester here to Buffalo to try to defend his title.
Right, which really is the point of the show, is to really be the true champ. You're going to have to...
Oof, that won't count.
Nope.
And that's an interesting way to get things started after all the hype and the thinking about what he wanted to do when he gets things going here. Like, that was a very odd frame.
Yeah, not how he was looking to start the match for sure.
And you almost felt like that spare was a little like, I'm a little agitated that it went that way.
Yeah, and you come in and you're bowling against somebody that's really comfortable on the lane.
Yeah. How about 244 and 245 in the first 2 matches from Geno Walh?
That was a good shot for him. That was a ring 10. You see the 6 ring around the 10 like that. And on a ring 10, you really can't change much. You know, when it's a flat 10, you're going to make a little bit of a move, but on a ring 10, you really got to take your chances.
We've got opens in the first frame for both guys.
Yep.
Don't know how I would explain any of that, but 2 really good bowlers trying to feel their way through a championship match, and things did not go the way either of them wanted to. So now who bounces back better?
Yeah, well, Geno's been about 50-50 on those 10 pins, and honestly, he's getting a free pass here by having the open frame from your opponent. That's a rarity.
So it may be the second frame, but essentially we're starting over for both guys.
Exactly.
The only difference is Geno's open was 9 pins and Ricky's was 7.
Which, that can be significant,
It sure
too.
could. Oh, yeah, it sure could. Lackawanna High School is where Geno Walh kind of got himself going in this sport. Been bowling since he was 6 years old and bowls in a couple of leagues every week. When we asked him how many career 300 games, he said, I can't remember, 20 or 30. Like, okay, good enough. When you can get to the point where you can't remember how many 300 games you have, that says you're pretty darn good.
That's right. And that's Lackawanna, the home of Jack Jurek. So a couple.
That's some pretty good bowlers coming out of that town. All right, so let's see how Ricky bounces back, and that's how you bounce back from a tough start. Ricky Zinone with the strike in the second frame. Ricky's got him beat by 1 year. He started bowling when he was 5 years old, and his ties to Buffalo are from having bowled on the ECC bowling team, Erie Community College.
ECC was a great program for a very long time. I noticed that George Szczublewski also bowled for ECC 21 years before Ricky. So that program's been strong for a very long time.
Yes, absolutely.
I think our producer, Joe Saccone, bowled for ECC as well and took part in their bowling management program, and it's gone on to great things.
Yes, he has. Aside from hurting us on this show, he's gone on to a lot of great things. Strikes in the second and third frame. Great bounce back for Ricky Zinone. And again, as we saw when he battled Derek Green last week, not intimidated by who he's bowling against or how well that guy is bowling, sticks to his own game and bowls his own game, and that's how he got that win last week.
You know, and I think that maybe, I mean, that's a great attitude, but maybe part of it being a left-hander, you know, you're kind of alone on an island sometimes. You're just amongst a bunch of right-handers, so you kind of are on your own, bowling your own game.
And there's Geno Walh getting back to where he had been in those first 2 matches.
Yeah, Geno's in uncharted territory here with actually being behind in the match. I mean, he's pretty much led every match he's been in. That was in a little bit.
Didn't matter. I felt like he didn't move to the right as we had shown him doing earlier in the first match.
He's left a couple 4 pins. The ball was snapping up high for him, so he had to make an adjustment. So I'm sure he brought everything deeper. So that may have it looked into me a little bit, but he actually probably moved everything in. You do your 2-in-1 move or your 3-in-1 move, move your feet, move your eyes a little bit left and try to catch more oil.
No doubting Ricky Zinone. He knows exactly that he's had 62 career 300 games. That's a heck of a number. I'd be happy to tell the world that number as well, too. So he knows how to get it done at a very high level. Career high series of 847.
So
and
smooth.
This is 3 in a row now for Ricky. So when you're the first lefty in to use that side of the lane, what are you trying to figure out?
Well, a couple things, because lanes are going to change for him a little bit as he bowls. He's going to have to be prepared for that. And normally on fresh strip, which is what they're starting on, like a freshly cleaned oil condition, the back ends are going to be stronger. So as the oil carries down, that'll smooth out a little bit. But as the first one on it, he's going to see stronger back ends, and then they'll start to smooth out.
He's getting a lot of pin action, which is helping contribute to 4 strikes in a row for Ricky Zinone.
Well, when he started striking there in the second frame and followed it up with a double in the third, he actually took the lead in the match. And so now with Geno striking the way he is, Ricky has to keep going just to maintain his lead.
5th frame for Geno Walh, and that's his 3rd strike in a row. So right now, these guys are cruising. They have found it after that, whatever that first frame was for both guys.
It's a little bit different of a hit. He's really keeping the ball in the oil now. And you see, the pins kind of falling late, not all going to the back of the pin deck. They're kind of just laying there a little bit flatter. So everything's moving in, and he's staying inside the oil more.
I want Geno to hurt himself with that, the English there that he's trying to provide. And there you go, a little bit of a hiccup there of the 4-7.
Yeah, again, he got it to the right where you can see the lanes are drying out. So instead of keeping it in, he leaked that a little bit to the right, and it snapped up. So everything's going to have to stay in for Geno.
So he'll
need a ball change.
He'll have to pick up the spare here in the 6th frame, certainly knowing that Ricky Zinone has found a groove of 4 in a row. That took a very late turn, but it gets him the spare. We've got a timeout. We'll come back for the conclusion of our championship match here on Beat the Champ.
From the most humble of beginnings to the pinnacle, dreams can come true through hard work, demanding excellence, and conquering challenges. There will be celebrations, along with the unending quest for innovation. Nothing is impossible. Storm.
Paul, what are you doing?
Hey, Sue. Hey, didn't you hear? We're bowling on MSG. I've got to practice.
No, Paul, we're not bowling on MSG. We're hosting bowling on MSG.
Oh, thank goodness, because there is no way I was going to be ready. Beat the Champ here on MSG. Soon Nawojski and I will bring you all the action. We'll see you on the lanes.
Paul, were you going to bowl in a suit?
Back at the Tonawanda Bowling Center as we continue our championship match between Ricky Zinone and Geno Walh. Right now, it's a 10-pin lead for Ricky Zinone with a chance to add to it as he eyes the pins in the 6th frame. He is working on 4 strikes in a row after an open frame 7-pin to begin things. And there
Great
you go.
shot.
That is 5 in a row now. Ricky is cool customer. We saw him last week, seeing him here today, just in talking to him and kind of getting to know him a little bit in the practices. Just how you feeling? Okay.
Yeah, he's not giving us a lot.
Does this place any challenges for you? No, I'll be okay. Just great, love it. That's what you want from you want ultimate confidence from these guys.
Wow, great shot.
He's on a roll. This is a roll. That is 6 strikes in a row for Ricky Zinone.
I think here's where the momentum kind of switches, because when he first starts out, first lefty, nobody's played on that part of the lane yet. Geno's comfortable, but because there's been play on the right side, Geno's shot keeps changing on him. So, great break there.
Yep, big break.
Geno's the one being challenged more, where now Ricky's settled in, and Geno's lanes keep switching up on him a little bit. Kept that in. That was a good shot.
Yeah, that a little late, but the pin action pulled that 10
came back
down.
And gave it a little love tap.
Yep. As Ricky Zinone watches, looks on, and sees what Geno Walh can do in the 8th frame.
Oh, that was.
And there was no
that
love
was
tap
a
on that
flat
one.
10. That was a weak 10 all the way down. The ball just stayed in the oil too long.
And you can see the shake of the head and the expression on the face of Geno Walh. Frustration of the way that frame went, probably frustration of knowing I'm running out of chances.
Yeah, he's running out of frames is what's happening here. Good spare. But
You know, when the guy you're bowling against is
Yeah.
working 6 in a row, you know, a 10 pin that won't go down could be the difference in the match.
yeah, I mean, we're talking about a 30-pin lead here with only 3 frames to go. 2 frames for Geno.
So remember, if Ricky wins here, then he will come back for next week's show, and he will wait for one of the 3 bowlers lined up for next week's show to challenge him, as he'll try to go for 3 weeks in a row.
And he opened that one up a little bit. I mean, that one would seem like, I don't know if he intentionally missed a little bit to the left, but it wasn't as up the boards as it has been, and that thing just came back.
Yep. Ricky kind of eked out a win last week to become our champion by winning at a 178. He might come closer to a 278 in this one.
Yeah, 277 potential out there.
And those pins are being shown no mercy. 8 in a row for Ricky Zinone.
Yep, I think Geno's run's going to come to an end here.
Is that the look of a confident bowler or not? So a good performance. Again, Geno put up 244, 245 to get here.
And he beat 2 great bowlers, let's be honest.
He did, yes. And you hear a good crowd support for Geno Walh as he strikes in the 9th frame. But again, you know, when the other guy is pounding the pins like Ricky Zinone is, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Yep, you saw that first frame and you thought maybe, you know, your opponent didn't have a great ball reaction going, but he proved that wrong. Ricky ended up figuring it out and really having great ball reaction.
Is it fun for you to come back here, a place that you spent a good part of your young and early bowling life? Is it fun for you to walk in the doors here?
Well, I can tell you that it's changed a lot.
Okay.
So it looks a lot different. But, yeah, there's a few things coming back. You know, I spent 20 years here, so, yeah.
Okay, hey, no,
Yeah.
I expected you to kind of answer it that
This
way.
really prepped me, though, for where I am now.
This helped you make the transition from being a bowler
Yeah, I learned
to
a lot
being
here.
a proprietor, right?
I learned a lot here. I have to say, you know, like Kelly Pym is running the bowling center now, and she was 4 years old when I worked here. And I see her mom floating around here somewhere, too. So, yeah, that's always nice to see them because that feels like, you know, old homes day for me.
Good for
But everything I learned, I have to say, Len was a very, very smart man. And I feel like I walked out of here with all the best of what he knew.
That's great.
And so it's really helped me along my career.
Yeah, the Pym family are on the Mount Rushmore of bowling proprietors
Well,
in
they've
Western
been here
New
a long
York.
time. I mean, they came from Canandaigua and got involved in this bowling center in 1988. They were from the Clifton Springs, Canandaigua area, and the opportunity came up for this bowling center, became available, and Len was looking for a bowling center, and this just happened to be, you know, what came up. So
When
he
back
moved
in those days, they didn't come up. They weren't available very
and
often.
he moved his whole family here, and you know, now this is home to them. But Carol and Len were actually from Geneva and Clifton Springs.
What a good finish. 4 strikes in a row and a final of 227 for Geno Walh. But after an impressive run here for Geno, it's just not going to be enough because Ricky Zinone has been awesome here today. And he will finish things off here. It's going to be a big score and a big win for Ricky Zinone. And there is strike number 9 in a row.
Did that go Brooklyn? I looked away.
Yes, I am told
But look,
it
we got a
was.
little bit of a smirk out of him on that one.
Hey, when you're rolling like that, you get all
That's
the lucky
right.
breaks,
You're
don't
so
you?
right about that. He's been so bang on here that I'm surprised that happened. Whoa.
And there you go. Even the last late falls like that get him a 10th strike in a row.
Just when we thought 245 was a big game.
Yeah, this is going to be one of this might be the highest score we have had on the show in our 4 months now. So
yeah, we've come close. I think we've had some 260s, but this could be it.
So let's see if Ricky can take that title of the highest score here and really put up a big time number. Last shot.
276.
Hey, 276. Absolutely. That is pretty amazing stuff. Ricky Zinone is our two-time champion. We'll wrap it up here. It's BTC at the TVC here on MSG.
The Western New York area has long been considered one of the best anywhere for the sport of bowling.
And no matter where you live, we have lanes nearby.
For top competition,
Fun with family and friends.
Great food and drink, or just a night out, we got you.
We are
The bowling proprietors.
of Western New York.
Stop in and enjoy our sport today.
12X Tech Bowling Supplies is committed to continuing the decades-long tradition of excellence established by the DeSanto family. We are the ultimate destination for customer service, experience, and product variety. We offer an extensive inventory of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories. Our unique fitting and drilling process, combined with our in-house lane, ensures a perfect fit every time. With a range of repair and maintenance services, we can help keep your gear performing at its best. Consult our team today at 1000 Highland Drive in the J. Scuddy South Plaza, conveniently located off of 390 in Henrietta.
I'm Paul Peck.
And I'm Nawojski. We want to see you out here bowling for the top spot on Beat the Champ.
So get to any of our great host centers and get the details on how you can be a part of the show and be our next winner.
And don't miss any of the action here on MSG every week.
Yeah, so check out the show next week or get out there and qualify and be our Beat the Champ winner.
Beat the Champ is sponsored by Storm, the Bowlers Company, and by the Bowling Proprietors Association of Western New York. Stop in and enjoy our sport today. It's an impressive second win in a row for Ricky Zinone, 276 to 227. 276 is the highest score we have had on this show. Last month in Rochester, we talked about a little bit of the rivalry between the Rochester and the Buffalo guys. For you to make the trip in here and look as good as you have, does that is there a little bit of fuel that comes to you about that at all?
A little bit. Just looking forward to seeing Patrick eventually.
He's already setting him up for next week's show, isn't he? So
Yeah, so as being the first left-hander coming on and in the title match, did you find that to be a challenge? Did you have transition as you went along?
Not really. I didn't practice much, so I didn't want to break him down too much. So
you are the ultimate cool, calm customer when you're bowling. Has that always been the way that you have treated this sport? Is do you fight sometimes getting too emotional?
not really.
He is a man of many pins and few words, but that's what we love about Ricky Zinone. And guess what? We're going to see him again on next week's show when 3 more challengers will try to knock him off the top of the mountain. Great start to Beat the Champ here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. We will see you next week.